Hello, my name is Breniman. Many of you have practiced with me in person or online, but I'm excited to leave you a series of short yoga practices that will cover the time that I'm on sabbatical in March and early April. If you're interested in my adventures with the Borneo orangutans, feel free to subscribe to YouTube or check out my website. I'll be leaving updates on Instagram and Facebook whenever I can. In the meantime, this practice is for you. So while it's pre-recorded, I hope it feels like a short 20-minute session that allows you some time to be on the yoga mat, to be in your body, no matter what time of the day or what time of the year it is. So to start out, I'm going to have you have either a yoga blanket or just a cushion that we can use for some support later on. But we're going to go into what I call the Three Cauldron practice that is based on a Celtic tradition. So I'm holding one of my largest singing bowls here just to give you a visual description of the way that the Celts back in the day understood what yogis would call the chakra system, what Western psychologists would call our energies, what Chinese practitioners might call the energy meridians. But this is a really straightforward three cauldron model. So first of all, think of a cauldron here at the base of our body, here in the center of our body, and here at the top of the body. And when we're first born, the understanding is these cauldrons are all upside down, right? They can't really hold anything, yeah? But as we move into the world, our base cauldron, which is known as the movement cauldron, that flips upright and we learn to be in our body, yeah? And as we grow and develop more thoughts and feelings, and some might argue that we're born with a lot of thoughts and feelings, but this emotional cauldron flips up and we develop a way of being in our hearts. And then around the same time, right, this upside down cauldron here in the brain, it flips open and it starts to gather information and data points and whatnot and fills it up. And then eventually that cauldron, we can keep all that information there, but we develop wisdom. So this is going to be a very straightforward practice of those three cauldrons. So I want you to sit any way that's comfortable. You could be up in a chair, you could be leaning into a sofa. Mostly you want to make sure that there's space for your back to be able to move. If you're kneeling or sitting cross-ankled like this, you might just decide that staying close to the ground is the best way to start with the base. And likewise, if you sit on the ground and your hips feel a little tender at first, sitting up on that blanket or cushion could be really helpful. So I'm going to exaggerate some of the movements at first, and then we'll get into moving from the base cauldron up to the wisdom cauldron. But first, just close your eyes, take your eyes away from the pixelated screen, roll the shoulders back, and lift up through the top of the head. Breathe a couple of breaths in and out of the nose, unless it's stuffy or you've got allergies, and it's okay to breathe out through the mouth, but that may be drying. And to honor that this is a Celtic-inspired yoga practice, I'm going to invite in the words of John O'Donohue, and this is a blessing for the senses. May the touch of your skin register the beauty of the otherness that surrounds you. May your listening be attuned to the deeper silence where sound is honed to bring distance home. May the fragrance of a breathing meadow refresh your heart and remind you, you are a child of the earth. And when you partake of food and drink, may your taste quicken to the gift and sweetness that flows from the earth. May your inner eye see through the surfaces and glean the real presence of everything that meets you. May your soul beautify the desire of your eyes that you might glimpse the infinity that hides in the simple sights that seem worn to your usual eyes. those words just wash over you and allow your spine to reconnect with lengthening. So wherever you can feel your sits bones, wherever it's connected to the earth is perfect as it is. And we're going to, if it helps, to take your hands to your hips. We're going to do a couple of cat-cow in seated position. So if you are against a chair, just scoot forward a little bit. We're going to try to untuck the tailbone. Even if the head pops forward like a chicken or a turkey, that's okay. And then we're going to tuck the tailbone and round. You'll feel the abdomen engage. So if you need to watch a couple of times, you're just going to untuck. That's your in-breath. And then tuck. And that's your out-breath. So feel this, even though I'm exaggerating, moving elbows, shoulders, head, that's really okay to get the full body experience. But just as you take a couple of these, see if you can just move your base cauldron and the hip socket feels a little bit of enlivening or awakening. And even if you don't feel a whole lot of movement down there in the base cauldron, that's okay. You're still stirring it. So from this tuck and untuck, I'm going to have you then just swivel to one side and the other. And it's probably that the middle and the top cauldrons are going to move easier, but try and shift so you feel yourself stirring with your spinal column, right? That base cauldron. And then it's just going to be a very intuitive, it might feel a little bit clunky at first. Just stir so you can feel the hip sockets move around. Good. If anything is tight, you need to reset the legs. That's okay. But just intuitively move and shift. And if lying or sitting isn't working for you, you could always lie down and do the same thing. You could come up to standing and do the same movement with the hips. The longer we tend to be in chairs or kind of standing, we don't get that three-dimensional stirring of this cauldron. Okay. We're just going to come to stillness and then sit for a moment, roll the shoulders back and see what's going on there in the lower limbs. Excellent. Readjust your legs as you need, and the next movement is going to be, you can even have your hands touch one at the heart center, one at the middle of the tummy, and now we're just going to move the shoulders. So rather than, now that we're marinating the base cauldron, our center cauldron of emotion is going to circle it around like you're trying to shrug off a sweater or a cape. And just get the spine moving. You could move super slow like a serpent, or you can move fast like a centipede, and just allow yourself all kinds of spinal flexions here. If you're a Kundalini practitioner and you're familiar with Kriyas, this probably feels like you can just trust your intuition. If you're newer to just moving the body in this way, go at a pace that makes sense for you, knowing your body. Now we're going to move in different ways. So we want, in yoga practice, in all practices, we sometimes find ritual or routine, but here we want to keep shifting around. And if you start to feel more alive, these hands that are resting here at the center of this emotional cauldron, you can even take them out and you can make all kinds of nice washing the energy around you. Arms can do I have a couple friends who are fire twirlers. You just get to move the arms in ways that are self-expression. There's no wrong way to do this. Right. And you may even feel just from this amount of movement, because we're using abdomen, that shoulders, core, back, we want this to be not only intuitive, but really intentional. And then if you feel the body needing to come to a slower spot, just bring yourself to stillness. And take a breath that roots to the ground and breathes up at least as far as the neck or collarbone, and then exhale, let it all go. Nice. If your legs are getting tired and the quads aren't used to that, let's shift legs in one more position. I'm going to demonstrate kneeling. That's not everyone's favorite, but sometimes if your knees are okay with it, you can even put the blanket between your calves and your thighs. So now we're going to take these arms that are part of the center cauldron. We're going to take them up to the top of the head. And we're just going to do a little bit of a cranial massage. If you've ever had a nice neck or shoulder massage, sometimes barbers will even work the scalp, but just allow yourself to warm up the wisdom cauldron. And I'm going to encourage you to induce a couple of maybe they start out not feeling like an authentic yawn, but wake up the brain, wake up the blood flowing behind the ears, the temple, the limbic system, those lymph nodes. If you're okay with it, rub your cheeks, rub your temples. Again, very intuitive. Now we're just going to take 3 more breaths, however you want to wake up the head. Light taps. One last final breath. And I know the arms get a lot of workout here. We're just going to lower the hands down. If anything, we've oxygenated the space around the ears, on the scalp, and just take another breath in from the base of the body up to the top of the head. And then breathe down from the top of the head, down the spine. If your knees will allow it, you come out of your seated posture, and we'll let the sleeping dog, Sibo, lie. And you cushion the knees and come into tabletop. So here we're going to do the same sort of three cauldron move. If your wrists ever need a little break, just come down on forearms. You could also do this. You could do this standing against a counter or tabletop. Oh, I did wake up, Sibo. And we're just going to wag our tail side to side. If that feels okay to do so, walk the hands or forearms a little further forward and then circle. So we're going back into that base cauldron. But the rest of the body is also starting to find that circular movement. And just take it for 3, 2, 1. And I'm a fan of preciousness over precision, but switch to the opposite direction that you were going. And go for 3, 2, and 1. I encourage you to just briefly sit back in a child's pose. Bring your wisdom cauldron to the ground. Don't let any of the wisdom spill out, but just notice what the third eye to the earth feels like to you. And then we're going to come on up one more time to tabletop. We're going to keep the tailbone tall, right? And let's assume that as we grow and mature, all of them are upright, right? We're just going to do a cleansing puppy dog or downward dog. So tailbone tucks upwards. And then we bow our head down, so we might just drain all those cauldrons out like a refresher. If you are up for one and only downward dog, the shoulders are right behind the wrists, the toes curl under, and we lift up our lower back to the sky, and we dump anything we don't need out of those cauldrons. Are we judging our body? Are we loving our body? Are we accepting our body? Whatever we want to do to really deepen our appreciation, let go of judgment, embrace love, feel that lengthening, take a slow, intentional inhale and let out anything. Sometimes we have to learn so many things just to realize that we have to unlearn something. If you're in downward dog or puppy dog, let's give it one more in through the nose. I'm going to lower the knees, sit back slowly, find that child's pose, and just celebrate that whatever brief practice you offered yourself It is yours. From child's pose, I'm going to have you take that blanket or cushion and lay it underneath your neck. This is especially helpful if you notice your neck being arched here and your chin is ever higher than the forehead. You just want to lengthen it. Okay? And then once your shoulders back is flat into the ground, hug your knees. And we'll do one final brief cauldron set, and we'll circle the knees. We'll stir the base cauldron of movement. We'll send those feet to the sky. And we'll take a happy baby, that when we're born with these three cauldrons, we get to really celebrate that we're exploring, even no matter what age your body is now. Can you find that contentment that a baby has when it's just in this hip opener? Good. Take a nice deep breath in. We're going to seal the feet together. Lower the outer edges of the feet down, knees out, so you come into a butterfly. And we keep the base cauldron open. And we're going to hold the belly and the chest. And it's a little different than EFT collarbone tapping, but I'm just going to encourage you to find a very gentle fingertip tapping here. In through the nose, and if possible, out through the nose. Just tapping those vital organs, and if your hands want to stay as they are and tap, that's great. If the fingertips want to intuitively, lightly tap around the ribs, around the heart center, move to the collarbone. An eclectic practice allows you to take what you need and leave behind what you don't need. And then I'm going to encourage you, if butterfly feels okay, you can just have your hands rest the outer thighs. Or if you want a little more opening the base, your hands will rest on the inner thighs. And then a very gentle wisdom cauldron is just to turn the head side to side. And allowing that slow sway of the head. We're just saying yes to our practices whenever, wherever they may take place. Or saying no to judgment, to saying I'm not doing something right, or just acknowledging that that's how wisdom takes place. We free ourselves from that inner critic. And when your neck feels like it wants to just come to stillness, when your hands want to scoop up the outer legs, then the knees hug one last time. And if your lower back ever gets tender in regular Shavasana, I recommend planting the feet wide, letting the knees lean into each other, and resting the arms. Likewise, you could straighten the legs if you prefer. Let the hands rest on the abdomen, or for heart opening, knuckles down, palms up, fingertips slightly curled, and shoulder blades walk underneath you for Shavasana. I'm going to ring the singing bowls just for a couple of moments and let any of your senses take this in. You might feel the good vibes of the bowls. You might feel or sense other things going on in this meditative practice, and this one is for you. invite you to rest for a while longer, knowing a short practice may lead you to a longer meditation. If you do know that as you wind down a 20-minute practice, you just want to be able to wiggle the toes and fingers, appreciate that your 3 cauldrons have been stirred and activated. And then with the kindness of maybe letting a soup marinate and the flavor really comes through, I want you to eventually gently bring both knees up to your chest and give yourself the best end of yoga hug. And then roll over to one side and use the arms to just help lever up to sit upright. And then with that awakening, stacking base cauldron, emotional cauldron, wisdom cauldron, and sit with that knowing no matter how your practice has unfolded that you bring the best of you forward into the rest of your day. If you're taking this practice at the end of the day, the best of you is going into sleep state. I will be back with more of these practices, mini practices, longer practices, so I can gift you these into your future. I hope they're here for you to access whenever you'd like. There are some older recordings that I made before I went off to Uganda to see the chimps and the gorillas. And this is the one I'm leaving you as I head off to get ready to embrace volunteering and taking my heart, my energy, my singing bowls to Borneo to be with the orangutans and other animals that are in a sanctuary. Thank you all very much for joining me. My name is Ken Breniman, and I vow to each of you that partake in your practices. I'm just here as an energy cheerleader. Until next time, I wish you well. May your senses bring in goodness. May your wisdom cauldron guide you well. Thank you very much.